Good evening, everyone. Merch Hunter Ricky back, and we're talking about the final chapter of Fabricant 100. That's right, chapter 36 is in fact the last chapter. The story started off in December of 2022, I think December 2nd, and almost made it to a year, and definitely had some very strong potential out of the gate. Really quick, let me go ahead and recap the chapter. Also, subscribe if you're new around here. So chapter 36 starts off where chapter 35 kind of ends, in like the middle of her explaining to Fabricant 1 what exactly the ideal human is. And we got a very, very interesting flashback from the doctor himself, having been a weapons manufacturer and developer for a war, for a country that did not win said war. Because of that, all the fingers were levied at him, all the blame was levied at him, and he had to leave his home country and go to an island to hide out and feign that he had amnesia. Because of this, he ended up meeting a woman named Saya and kind of developing a close bond with her. She was feeding him apples that the village had a very, very limited amount of due to the war that ravaged the world he lived in, and the weapon was kind of, all him. Now, to speed things up a little bit, a bomb drops on that village as he starts to develop love for the village. Turns out that bomb was one of the ones he developed, one of the last ones around. And at the start of chapter 36, we are talking to Fabricant 1. Fabricant 100 lets her know, what we lack is the ability to feel empathy. Every time we kill someone to take their parts, we stray further and further from the ideal human desire of what the doctor wanted. And of course, this brings Fabricant 1 to his knees. He crumbles. He's like, this can't be right. You know what? I'm going to go find better people. Forget Ashibi. I'm going to go across the world hunting people. And at this, Fabricant 1 says, I was hoping you'd say that. And she lights herself on fire, hugs him, and jumps down the center of the tower that they were at. A spiraling staircase makes for very good visuals as Fabricant 100 falls upside down, maintaining eye contact with Ashibi, who is standing right side up, making a very good duality, yin-yang type deal, And here we get her innermost thoughts as she sees Ashibi for the very last time. She goes ahead and lets, the readers know she never felt anything for him. Even when he burned himself to save her 2 chapters ago, she didn't feel anything for him. When she found out his body could no longer heal, she didn't feel anything. And this is when she knew what the ideal human was, because Ashibi actually was the ideal human. And maybe she even alludes to maybe it wasn't even his healing flesh, but the fact that Ashibi's inner heart was so strong and that he wanted no one else to feel the pain that he went through of losing his entire family, that maybe that's why the Fabricants were attracted to him and why they were so immensely and intensely drawn to him. And of course, that's kind of it for Fabricant 100. We don't see her for the rest of the chapter. All we see is her backside as we now meet a grown-up Ashibi having a dinner party celebrating his 18th birthday because he finally made it. He's a full-grown boy. Min, Kugui, Luca, and Hugo all join for the dinner, and it is kind of a sad, somber ending as glasses are raised as a toast to what honestly I think Enoshima's strong suit is making really strong symbolism in the manga, to the point where it's like, hey reader, cheers for being with me. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep the story going, and I want to appreciate you guys for being here. It really felt like that's what his tone was for this last chapter. And again, it's just a shame because at the beginning of this, the premise of it all, Fabricant 100 had such a strong potential, such a good aura of fun about it, And the chapter doesn't really have a lot going on for it. That's really it, is, she hugs Fabricant 1, burns both of them alive, and jumps off the tower and, plummets to her death. The only thing that could kill someone as strong as her is just a really tall fall, I guess, And Ashibi, he's still marked up, he has the burns for life after this. We don't really get anything because this is the end, He laments that Miss Ayakawa had to die in the mission beforehand, and he kind of misses Fabricant 100 even though he was told not to, and that he got the vengeance for his family. And over the course of 2 years, they do hunt down every Fabricant, and they're gone. The world is safe now. And hopefully character designs like Hugo, Luca, and Min Min will come back in this man's future works, because he definitely has a bright future ahead of him. And I hope that the abrupt cancellation of this doesn't keep Enoshima down for too long. I think he did good with what he was given. And I might make at least 2 more videos about Fabricant 100, just because it was a series I was very passionate about, and to already be speaking about it in the past tense is kind of saddening. And I really had fun, I started the Fabricounter counting the deaths of all the Fabricants, but I personally felt that when they invaded the Mortsafe and there was an uncountable number of Fabricants, that he was telling me to just stop with the Fabricounter. I don't know if he's ever seen a video of mine, but part of me felt like, hey, stop the Fabricounter, because you can't tally that up. There's like 6 ones in this panel, there's 3 in this panel, But all in all, I had a lot of fun with this series, and I'm looking forward to giving it a brief reread, since it is only 36 chapters. Feasibly you can read it in a weekend, or a day even, if you have really nothing else to do. The chapters aren't long, and the dialogue is not deep. Roxy was probably the most intense arc we got, and it really felt back then that the series had a bright future ahead of it. But as you know, especially if you're following my coverage of this series, we doom and gloomed on it every single week, because we did not know if it was going to be canceled or not. But you know what? After all is said and done, I'm glad I skipped the chapters that I did, but I'm also glad that I continued to cover the series afterwards, and I made it here. And I want to thank everyone who was with me since December, since I started covering this series. I hope to see you all in my other videos, my comment sections. Let's keep it going. I'm going to add another manga to the coverage list, most likely Martial Master Asumi, and we'll see how that goes. I will check out some other mangas, and I want to start just branching out further from just One Piece, because I don't want my channel to just be boxed into one type of content, and I don't want to be forced to make another channel just to break through to the algorithm. If I make another channel, it would be just solely for like live videos or something like that. But for now, this is the last Fabricant 100 chapter coverage. It's been my pleasure to talk about this series with you all, and I hope that I see you in the next one. Have a good night, everyone.